तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः.
Hello, welcome to Silent Wisdom Online Satsang. Satsang is a great opportunity for all of us to connect together and have spiritual conversations. So generally, it's also to ask your questions, have your queries resolved. But in this group, there are hardly any questions, and there are so many sessions which are going on. There are so many satsangs which are going on to answer those questions. So I generally try to use this time to introduce some knowledge said through coming through a different mouth. The knowledge remains the same. It's just how the words are used to say the same thing. And what we are doing today, we are continuing with the song of Mahamudra by Tilopa. It's the same thing, same path, and how he has said what cannot be said for his disciple Naropa. That is what this song is all about. And this song has complete knowledge, everything. So last week we heard a little story about Tilopa, and then that how he could only find one disciple, Naropa. And then he says that something which cannot be said, but for you, Naropa, earnest and loyal, a disciple like you, the words have to be used. Something needs to be said, and he's trying to share that. So we'll continue with the song today. In Mahamudra, all one's sins are burned. In Mahamudra, one is released from the prison of this world. Now, these are very pregnant words. If you see, generally the understanding is that we have committed many sins, not only in this life, but lifetimes we have been committing sins. And we think that is what we are told, or the understanding is that we have to balance it by virtuous acts. We have to pay for our sins. We need to repent for them. We need to atone for them. And the account has to be closed. Without completing the account with this world, enlightenment is not possible. It's like, and the mind completely just agrees with this. Like it has to be so, isn't it? If I have committed sins, and for something, whatever we feel a sin is, when somebody has done anything bad, even for them we feel that they have to pay for this, or something bad that we do, we feel we have to pay for this. Now we have committed sins and we need to suffer for them. And only by suffering and by paying for them we will become liberated. Only when the balance is complete, liberation is possible. Otherwise, we will have to keep taking birth and keep moving and keep growing. Now, further in this song, he says that all small teachings lead to acts. One should only follow teachings that are great. Okay, in the same song. Now, what does that mean? This says that small teachings teach you about actions. Okay, when you think that for every sin that you have committed, you need to pay for it, you need to atone for it, repent for it, and then only you will be enlightened. That is a very small teaching. So don't go for small teachings. Great teachings don't teach you about how to act. Great teachings are about how to be, what to be. And what does this say? This is a sudden approach. So what is Tilopa talking about? Tilopa says actions are millions, and if you have to pay for all the actions, it looks almost impossible that you will ever be liberated, isn't it? You have lived for millions of lives and you have committed so many actions, millions of acts, maybe millions of sins also. If you are going to balance each bad act with a good one, that itself will take another millions of lives. And while you are trying to balance that whole thing out, you will again commit many actions and many more sins. So, do you look at it? It is so complex. Now, this looks almost impossible that you will ever be liberated. So, if you go by this small thought, what is the small thought? That I have to pay for all my sins and only then can I be liberated, then it can never happen. It is not possible. So, what is Tilopa saying? Tilopa is saying acts are not the question. Don't worry about what you have done. Don't worry about what actions you have taken, because all your actions have come out because of your ignorance. They have come out of your ignorance. You are not responsible for them. See how quickly he takes all the burden off you. He says, you are not responsible for what you did. If somebody is responsible, if somebody is, then it is the whole. You can call him God, you can call him the super consciousness or whatever, but you as this individual is definitely not responsible. And even taking this responsibility is very egoistic. See, thinking that I have committed and I need to balance is actually very, very egoistic. And if you think that you have to liberate yourself, like I have to liberate myself inch by inch, step by step, act by act, sin by sin, that is extremely ego-centered attitude and it is impossible to do. And why do you think you are even responsible? The responsibility has to be with the divine. You have not created it. You have not given birth to yourself. Did you take birth yourself? So the creator is responsible. So what is required? Now, where is the great teaching? This is a small teaching which says act by acts, virtue by virtue. For every sin, I need to do a virtue. The only thing that is needed is light, awareness. That's all. Not millions of acts have to be answered. Only one thing has to be done, and that is do not remain ignorant. Become aware. Just become aware. And the moment you become aware, all that belongs to this world, it just disappears. The darkness disappears. It looks like a dream, a nightmare, and it will not look like reality. In Mahamudra, all one's sins are burned. You don't have to burn your sin one by one. Just in Mahamudra, all the sins are burned. They are not to be balanced by good acts. And what happens? So, what is Mahamudra? Let's look at it again. Mahamudra is a state of your being when you are not separate from the whole, when you are not separate from the total, when you are not a separate entity, when you don't exist. You, in the sense, this creature, this individual, does not exist. It is like a deep orgasm with the cosmos. We spoke about orgasm even last time. A normal orgasm is when two people become one. When the vibration of two people who are deeply in love, they don't remain two anymore. They become one. That is what we call as orgasm. And when the same thing happens, not with another person, but with the whole existence, the cosmos, then that is Mahamudra. And it happens. It does happen. And in that Mahamudra, all the sins are burned. In just one moment, all the sins are burned. I would also like to share with you here that I don't know how many of you have heard about a technique called Latihan. Thank you, Graham. I see your comment here. Has anyone heard about Latihan? Okay, none of you have heard. All right. So maybe we can actually, we cannot do this online. The practice needs to be done offline. So this practice has been shared, and if you'll Google it, you will find it. Came to a person named as Babak Subuhu. Okay, he lived in Indonesia, and by religion you can say he was a Muslim. He just stumbled upon it, and it just came to him. And I'll just explain very, very briefly what the uh, technique is. And that technique is supposed to give you an experience of Mahamudra. Okay. Now, I know many of us would know about the Sufi techniques, and you have this whirling, right? So, when you are whirling, many people are aware of that, that you go and whirl, and a moment comes while whirling when the body is whirling and you are watching. Okay, that is what happens in the Sufism. Now, Latihan is a very similar technique, except that in in whirling you are moving in a particular way, right? You know, and you have to take steps, like a discipline is told to you how your hands need to be, how your feet need to move, and there's a particular rhythm, and then everybody is moving, and your face is also in a particular way that you place your face, and then it happens. Latiha is something which is very, very simple. Okay, here what one does is, and I'm just sharing very briefly here with you, that in an open room, you just put rugs so that you will not fall down. And in case you fall down, there is something to support you. And you just stand there, okay, in a very, very relaxed attitude. Latihan, Latihan. So you just stand alone in the room and very relaxed. And actually, those people who follow this process, or who teach you, like who are into this tradition, they also prepare sadhaks for about 3 months before they take you into this particular practice. And then what happens is you just stand, okay, in the room, very, very relaxed. Allow the cosmos, allow the divine to take over you. And if you are just surrendered and you just relax, the and you are not moving, then there is something that starts happening to you, and you find that your body starts moving automatically, naturally, without any effort from your part. Okay, the body starts moving. And sometimes for some people it can happen to them by themselves, and in case it is not happening, then the kind of sessions that these people have, what they do is, like the one person who has experienced it, so it could be a group of people with somebody who has already experienced it, and that person acts like a catalyst. So all you have to do is just stand there, and with this person there, that is going to happen very soon. It's like, um, as I said, yeah, catalyst. He acts like a catalyst. So, and suddenly it feels like your hands will move, your feet will move, your body will move, and you are not moving it. So it's not something that you're thinking about and doing. You just allow that energy to take over you. And it is said that if you follow it, within 3 months, there is a possibility for you to experience this Mahamudra, to experience that cosmic orgasm. It is pretty popular in Indonesia, even in other places now, where there have become these groups, communities who practice this. Another way to understand is, if you may have heard of automatic writing, and if any one of you have tried, where again you just sit with your pen in the hand, right? And you don't think about it and allow the hand to move, and the messages come to you. It's a very similar thing, except that you do it with your whole body. So for this Mahamudra, and Osho has also shared that this particular technique called Latiha is also something which is very popular in Tantra. It's a tantric technique, not exactly with the same name and not exactly like this, but it is Tantra. And also Tantra would mean that See, Tantra, we also need to understand one thing. You can do it, or you are much better at it once you have at least the understanding of who you are. And then when you practice Tantra, it is much more useful. It makes more sense because then you are able to allow that or the surrender to happen. You and people generally practice it from 30 minutes to 60 minutes, and it's pretty powerful. I always share with you guys things that I have practiced myself. So I have practiced Latihan also, although not with any group or community. But when I had read this many years back, maybe 15 years back, I had tried. So I have tried many of these things, and yeah, it was a great experience. I didn't like pursue it as such, but I did try it for a few days. Actually, if we could all get together sometime offline, we could, we could try that. It would be interesting. It would be very nice. All right. So let's continue. In Mahamudra, all one's sins are burned. In Mahamudra, one is released from the prison of this world. This is Dharma's supreme torch. Those who disbelieve it are fools who will wallow in misery and sorrow. So Tilopa says that those who disbelieve in it, that something like Mahamudra exists which can burn all the sins, they are fools. He doesn't call them sinners. He doesn't call them irreligious. He says they are fools. Why are they fools? Because if they don't believe in it, they are missing the greatest bliss that life can give them. Greatest bliss. And if you surrender, if you believe in this, and if you can achieve that Mahamudra, life is the greatest blessing. It is a benediction. And you are missing the ultimate gift because you cannot trust. And then he further says, if you want to learn anything, learn trust. Nothing else is needed. Just learn to trust. If you don't feel any meaning in life, and if you feel meaninglessness, nothing is going to help except trust. Just learn trust. Further, he says, to strive for liberation, one should rely on a guru. When your mind receives his blessing, emancipation is at hand. To strive for liberation, one should rely on a guru. Now, this is very nice actually. So why believe in a guru? Why believe in a master? Why do we need somebody? The reason is because this is unknown. What he's talking about here, this Mahamudra, the cosmic orgasm, it is unknown. It is too far from you. It is just a dream. It is a wish fulfillment. You may feel good listening about it. You may feel good hearing about it, but it's not your experience. And how are you going to experience it? How will that happen? Who is going to give it to you? And the answer is only the one who has tasted it. Only the one who has tasted it can bring you closer to it. Of course, eventually you will only have to do it. You have to realize it for yourself. You have to go into that orgasm yourself. But bringing you to the closest point where it becomes possible for you, who will do that? The one who has tasted it, and that is a guru. He is the opener. He is the catalytic agent. And actually, he doesn't even do anything. It's just his presence. That is enough. He's like a window. He is like that fragrance which will enter into your nostrils and give that fragrance in your nose. You will be able to smell. You will be able to smell what it is about. So the blessing of the master is very, very important. And then a very logical question comes. How do you seek a master? How do you seek a guru? And he says, and when I'm right now saying he says, that is I'm talking about Osho actually. He's given a very good technique over here. Those who have not found the guru as yet. He says, whenever you hear a rumor, please understand, rumor, he's just using the word rumor. that somebody has become enlightened. And maybe it is just a rumor, it is completely incorrect, who knows? But still, go and become available. Don't be a thinker, but become a lover. Because a guru or a master is found through feeling, through love, not by thinking. A teacher is found through thinking, but a master, a guru, is found through love. And a master is a living phenomenon. There is energy around that person. So it's a completely different quality of being. So, what do? If you hear of someone who has become enlightened, just go and become available. Just be there, and be there in trust, be there in surrender. Just feel the energy, see what happens to you, and maybe something will happen to you. Spend some time, and if it doesn't happen, move on. Then hear about another rumor. If you find out, okay, there is another person who has become. Because this is also something you don't know when it will happen for you, when you will get connected with the master, and when the master will get connected with you. So it's also chemistry. It's not only about just logic and reasoning, no. And it cannot be proved. It's all about that intimacy, that love, that receptivity. And if you are available and there is a living master, there is a possibility that something will happen. Even you don't have to do anything, and even the master doesn't do anything. They both do nothing. It's just an energy phenomenon. That's all. Another beautiful thing is, and maybe I'm sure all of you would have experienced it, that when you experience that love for a master, or when you find a guru, you feel, oh, this is such an amazing guru, and you go and tell others about it. Okay, it is quite possible that they may not have the same experience, or they may not even feel even little bit close to that master, or they may not connect with that guru at all, right? So it cannot be proved to anybody else that this person is a master. So don't worry about it. There is also a possibility that for other people there are masters who may not be a master for you, and for others who are not masters could be a master for you, because there is no proof. It is all about energy. We really don't know who is going to work for whom, right? Who is the guru for you, and who is the disciple for that particular guru. So wherever you feel love, just go and connect, and then don't also expect that the same phenomenon will be experienced by others. It may just not happen. Okay. So to strive for liberation, one should rely on a guru. When your mind receives his blessings, emancipation is at hand. So when you feel the master's blessings pouring on you, showering on you like flowers, when you experience that something, that love, that energy phenomenon, then you can be certain that emancipation is at hand. If you have experienced that love, that connection, that intimacy, you have felt that something has happened to you in the presence of the guru, of the master, then know that you are very close. Okay. Further, on that small teachings lead to acts, one should only follow teachings that are great. So Tilopa is not at all concerned with the small teachings. He is only talking about the big teachings, the great teachings. So he says small teachings tell you do this, don't do this, what to do, not to do, right? But great teaching doesn't give you any commandment. It is not concerned with what you do, it is concerned with what you are. It has nothing to do with what you do. Your being, your center, your consciousness, only that is significant. You know, sometimes people say, oh, we are vegetarians. So, will this lead us to enlightenment? Small teaching, no? When you are told be a vegetarian, or we don't eat in the night, or we get up early at Brahma Muhurat, or we believe in celibacy, we always give lot of donations, right? People have all these ideas. What is this? These are all small teachings. Are they important? Yes, they are also important. It's not that they are not important. When people are too much, when there is lot of ignorance, okay, the ignorance is so much that you are only operating from a survival mode, then these teachings are very important. That do not steal, do not be greedy, be a vegetarian, speak the truth, don't eat in the night, get up early in the morning and do your practices. They are important when there is too much ignorance. But here, when Tilopa is talking, he's not talking for the small minds. No. He is talking about the great teaching. He is giving it to someone, Naropa, who is beyond all these small teachings. So the question is not about building your character here. No. Building the character is a very, very small thing. No. The great teaching is you are already that which you can be. You just need to realize you are already the goal. Be aware of this. This very moment, this very moment, your destiny can be fulfilled. This very moment can be the Mahamudra. So, what are you waiting for? Don't believe in gradual steps. Just take the jump. Be courageous. And only one who is courageous can follow the teaching of Tilopa. I'll just pause here in case anybody wants to share, ask anything. Listening to this, one should not think that the small teachings don't have any value. They have, but then for a different mind. Anjali is saying, I think Guruji is like this. He never says small things which one should follow. Absolutely. Depending on what level the seeker is at, for that person, maybe small teachings will be very important. But for that kind of a seeker, it is not Tilopa who is required, right? Okay, so let's continue. There is one more. Of course, it's a long song, but I have taken just a few paragraphs from there. To transcend duality is the kingly view. To transcend duality is the kingly view. To conquer distractions is the royal practice. The path of no practice is the way of all Buddhas. See, we are talking about the great teaching. The path of no practice, here it is. He who treads that path reaches Buddhahood. Which path? The path of no practice. See, what is practice about? If we look closely, when we are building habits, when we are doing practices are done, one, for the purification of the mind, which is important for certain seekers. And then another thing that happens is that the habits which are being built, the good habits, they become so conditioned that one starts doing things out of habit. When you think you are being good and nice, it's basically out of the habit. That is not happening spontaneously. Like what we call as conditioning. And you must have all heard of Ivan Pavlov, the Russian psychologist who spoke about the conditioned reflex, okay, which says that if you combine two things, he had done this experiment on dogs, that before the dogs were given food, a bell would ring. Okay, he would ring a bell, and then the food would be offered to the dogs. So just when the food is offered, when the dogs can smell the food that it is coming, their tongue starts salivating. It's a very natural thing. Now what happened? When he started ringing the bell before giving them food, and then what he did after some time, he would ring the bell, but he would not give the food. But just by ringing the bell, the dogs would start salivating. So now the ringing of the bell has become associated with the food. So that has become a conditioned reflex. Okay, so the conditioning has happened. But the bell has nothing to do with the food actually, if you see. The bell does not mean that bell is not food at all. So it is just conditioning. So all our habits are also like that. We learn certain things. And it is said that William James, who was again a very famous psychologist, he was one day sitting in a coffee house and he saw a soldier, okay, and the soldier who had retired 20 years back in the coffee house. So, just out of fun, out of humor, James played a joke. He loudly said, "Attention!" And the moment he said that, that soldier who was just holding a plate in his hand of food, the plate dropped and he just stood in attention. Imagine after 20 years of retiring from the military. And when he realized that, suddenly he became very angry and he came to him. He said, "What kind of a joke is that? Why did you do that?" He said, "What do you mean? Like, I just said attention." But he said, "But the moment I hear attention, like I have to drop everything and stand in attention." So, what has happened here? The big conditioning has happened over here. It is so automatic, it is training. And what the society is doing is it's basically building character. It's training us to think, behave in a particular way, because that way the survival process becomes very easy. But the same survival process, when we are talking about here, it comes in the way. It comes in the way because that is what we focus too much on, building the character. We have to understand that building a habit is easy, but a good habit. But being good is very difficult. Being good means being spontaneous, being available. So here what Tilopa is talking about is not about a habit. It's about being just available, being spontaneous. Graham is saying Pavlovian conditioning can be done to sea slugs which only have 1000 neurons. So it's so basic. So right, Graham. See, that is what works, na? Conditioning is so good for the survival process. And another thing that they have done in Russia, it just reminds me, I must share this, and maybe many of you know about it, that to get people out of bad habits, like for example, let's say you are a smoker and you're not able to get rid of the habit of smoking. So because of this Pavlovian conditioning, what the new methodology they came up with was that the moment if you go in for that treatment, you just go in for that 1 week treatment, and every time you will pick up a cigarette, okay, they have automated the process, you will be given an electric shock. Okay. Now, after 1 week of that treatment, you are never going to pick up a cigarette again. But so what are they doing? To get you out of one habit, they have put you into conditioning. So they may have got you out of that habit of smoking, but what has that done to you? That has created so much fear and the conditioning. It is not going to help at all. In the sense, what Tilopa is talking over here, the possibilities have been reduced for that person to be able to go and experience this, to be able to go to such high levels. That is what it does. So conditioning is so basic. But then of course, the society is only interested that you have a good character, that you behave like a good social citizen, and you don't have bad habits. So if they have to condition you, they have to kill all potential in you to flower and blossom. That's absolutely okay with them. So what is Tilopa saying? Tilopa says, to transcend duality is the kingly view. Now what does transcend mean here? To transcend means not to win. No. Transcend means that you have just gone above, gone beyond. It's not a fight. It's something that happens very naturally. Now, for example, when there is a small child who loves to play with the toys, and if you take away his toys, he's going to be very angry. He's not going to like it at all. But then one day it happens that the child becomes mature and he finds something else and the toys are just dropped, right? So what has happened? The child has become mature. Now he finds that, playing with the toys is just very childish. So it's a very natural, it is not something that you cultivate. You just see that as absurd, or what you were doing earlier was right at that point of time, and you just grow out of it. So that is what is transcend. And he says to transcend duality is the kingly view. So you transcend duality, you do not stay with duality. From duality to non duality. To conquer distractions is the royal practice. So, what are distractions? All the time there are distractions. And where we keep losing the consciousness, we keep losing the awareness again and again. We meditate, sit for meditation, a thought comes, we have forgotten ourselves. And we just follow the thought, gotten involved in it. Isn't it? Now, what is Tilopa saying when he says to conquer distractions is the royal practice, to transcend duality? When a thought comes, remain a witness. Remain a witness. Look at it. Observe it. Allow it to pass your being, but don't get attached to it in any way, either for or against. That is the important one. It may be a bad thought, maybe a thought to kill someone, maybe a thought of greed, maybe a thought of anger. Don't say this is a bad thought. Don't think, oh, I have been practicing for so many years. Why am I having this bad thought? Because the moment you say something about this thought, you become attached and you become distracted. Now, this thought will lead to one more thought and more thoughts, and then you will be lost. Or a good thought may happen. And you may feel, oh, I think I should help that other person. Or there may be a compassionate thought, and you'll think, oh, I'm having such beautiful thoughts. I'm such a saintly person. I would like to liberate somebody, right? Again, you have become distracted. This is also a distraction. So don't worry about the thoughts being good or bad. Not at all. Just remain a witness. If you are distracted, be distracted. Don't be worried about it. Otherwise, this worry itself will become an obsession. Be distracted. For a few minutes, you will be distracted. Then suddenly you will remember, oh, I was distracted. It's okay. Come back. Don't feel depressed. Don't say it was bad that I was distracted. Because the moment you say that, again you are creating dualism, good and bad. And that is what we are doing all the time. Good and bad. So, no good, no bad. Just accept. Don't create a conflict. And Krishnamurti, if you remember, he used to say this thing that if you are inattentive, be attentively inattentive. See, paradoxical. Be attentively inattentive. That's exactly what Tilopa is also saying over here. So, the moment you've been distracted, I have been distracted, come back. That's it. It is over. And when you do that, what is it that you are doing? Transcending duality without any practice. The path of no practice is the way of all Buddhas. Nothing is to be practiced here because practice creates habits, and we are not here to create habits. You have to become aware, not practice. Okay, there is no practice here. And then somebody can ask, if there is no practice, then what to do? Again, the question comes, what to do? Well, very simple. Just live spontaneously. That is the key. Live in the now, spontaneously. And what happens is living spontaneously creates fear. But that is Tilopa's teaching. Why are you afraid? What is the fear? Again, the fear is maybe you will do something bad, maybe you will not be good, so you are getting caught in the same loop. So just get out of it. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Just live, totally accepted in this present moment. Further, he says, transient is this world, like phantoms and dreams. Substance it has none. Renounce it and forsake your kin. cut the strings of lust and hatred, and meditate in woods and mountains. If without effort you remain loosely in the natural state, soon Mahamudra you will win and attain the non attainment, the non attainable. So let's start. What does he say? Transient is this world. What does that mean? This world is made of the same stuff as dreams are made of. As dreams are made of. In dreams and in this world, there is no difference at all. Waking or asleep, you live in the dream world of your own. Just like in the movie, there is nothing on the screen, only crisscrossing electric lights, and they create the whole illusion. Exactly like the movie film on the screen is the whole world, because this also is electric phenomenon. Only you are real, only the witness is real, and everything else is a dream. And Buddhahood means when you transcend all these dreams and nothing is left to be seen, only the seer, then you have attained to Buddhahood. Only the seer is left. Renounce it and forsake your sin. Now, this can be very easily misunderstood. When he says renounce and forsake your sin, it does not mean that you just leave your family and run to the mountains. No, not at all. And renounce does not mean that you have to leave everything and move away. What is Tilopa saying here? It's something very deep. See, one can renounce reality. How can you renounce dreams? That would be foolish. It's like saying you get up in the morning and you announce to the world, you call all your friends and throw an party and you say, today I'm going to renounce my dreams. Have you heard? Will you hear anybody say that? Will you do that? Today I'm going to renounce the dreams that I saw. Okay, in the night I saw these dreams and I'm going to renounce them. That is very, very foolish, because there is nothing to renounce over there. And if the dreams cannot be renounced, then how can this world be renounced? It is not possible. So that is not what he means when he says renounce it and forsake your sin. There's a story of a Zen master. They say he woke up in the morning one day and called one of his disciples and he said, I had a dream last night. Can you please interpret it for me? Okay. You know, it's very popular in psychology, especially. Dream interpretation is one of the big therapies, and Freudians do a lot of work on that. So the disciple said, wait, master, wait, let me bring a cup of tea for you. So the master took the cup of tea from him, started drinking, and he says, now what about the dream? Will you please interpret my dream for me? The disciple said, forget about it. Dream is a dream. It needs no interpretation. A cup of tea is enough interpretation, okay? Just forget about it. What are you saying? So the master insisted still. No, please, just hear me out. See what an interesting dream it was. It was really something. I think there is a message in there. Listen to me. And the disciple said, no, nothing doing, just drink your tea. So after some time, then the master said, yes, you are right. Okay, you pass my test. You pass my test. If you had interpreted the dream, I would have thrown you out of my monastery, because only fools interpret dreams. You did well. You really did well. So what is he saying? He's saying you just renounce you don't renounce the dreams. There is nothing to renounce over there. And forsake your kin. When he says forsake your kin, it does not mean leaving the family relations, father, children. No, it is not about that. It is about renouncing the I and the my associated with anything. That is all. Where is the family? It is all about my husband, my child, my father, my wife, isn't it? That that attitude needs to be forsaken, not the family. No. And if you will understand that this world is like that dream, there is nothing to renounce and there is nothing to forsake. That's all. And then he says, meditate in woods and mountains. And when he's saying meditate in woods and mountains, he's not saying to run away to the mountains and the woods. Many people may have interpreted it like that. But Tilopa cannot be so superficial. Okay? Because he knows that you can sit in the Himalayas and yet be sitting in your home with your wife and the children and what is happening to them. And it is said that once a man renounced his family and came to Tilopa. Tilopa used to live in the mountains, high up in the mountains, and he came to Tilopa to be initiated as a disciple. So the man came, and when he reached inside, Tilopa was alone. So Tilopa just looked around on this person and said, okay, you have come, that's all right, but why this crowd? Why have you brought this crowd? So the man looked behind him and he said, what are you saying? There is nobody over here. It's only you and I. Where is the crowd? So Tilopa said, don't look back. No need to look back. Look inside. Look in. The crowd is there in your mind. I can see that. So the man closed his eyes and actually he saw that in his mind what was running was his wife, his family, his friends, and he's thinking, okay, how are they behaving? What must be happening to them? Are they missing him? What would they be saying about him? He's thinking all about that. So Tilopa said, please go back, go out. I initiate individuals. I do not initiate crowds. Go back, right? So you can be in the crowd and alone, and you can be alone and in the crowd. So when he says, forsake the kin and meditate in woods and mountains, it is symbolic, only symbolic. Further he says, if without effort you remain loosely in the natural state. What does that mean? Without effort. To be natural means to be there where you are, right now, right here, just as you are. To be natural, wherever you find yourself. If you are a husband, great, just be a husband. If you are a wife, just be a wife. If you are a son, be a son. Whatever you are, wherever you are, whatsoever is happening to you, just stay there. Don't fight. Don't be in a conflict. Just be loose and natural. That is all that you need to be right now, right here. And soon, Mahamudra, you will win. Remaining loose and natural, soon you will come to the orgasmic peak of the experience, the orgasmic peak with the existence, and attain the non-attainment. You see the use of words? And attain the non-attainment. And you will attain that which cannot be attained. Now this is again paradoxical. Why? Why say it cannot be attained? See, the moment we use the word attainment, it means that there is a goal. There is a goal post over there. There is something which is out there which needs to be achieved. But that is not what it is about. The moment you make it a goal, you will lose it. And it cannot be attained also by a goal-oriented mind. That is not possible. It cannot be attained by an achieving mind. You cannot be very uptight about it. You cannot be very worried or tensed about it or stressed about it, which generally you are when it is all about goals. It happens to you. It happens. It's not something you do. It's not something you achieve. It just happens. You cannot reach for it. It comes to you. You can only be loose, natural, passive, and wait for the right time. Wait for the right time. And what is the right attitude? What is the hurry? If you are in a hurry, you will become stressed, constantly expecting. isn't it? So just stay loose, natural, and be completely accepting this moment wherever you are, whatever state of mind you may be in, whatever may be your position, whatever may be the family scene, whatever may be the scene in the world, wherever you are. If you just accept totally and live in that acceptance, it happens to you. It will just happen. When you even give up the desire to achieve it, when you give up the desire to attain it, and totally one with this moment, and suddenly it comes when it comes. You do not even become aware that it is coming. It blooms, and suddenly you are blooming, and then you are filled with the fragrance, and you have attained that which cannot be attained. Okay, Graham has shared about Pavlovian conditioning. Those who don't know much about it, it's good to just read about it. It's very interesting. And you actually laugh when you read it and you understand the whole process of conditioning, realizing how the society has conditioned us. And all the masters, what are they trying to do? They're trying to break that conditioning only in us, isn't it? The society is telling us build character, build good habits, do this, don't do this. Tilopa is saying stay natural, loose, just be available where you are, don't create any conflicts, nothing. And that will happen to you. The best gift of the existence comes to you. Madhuri is saying it is like sprouting of sapling out of seed coat. If we are in hurry, it will be destroyed. Yes, yes. When we plant a seed, we don't just keep on checking every time, right? If we just keep checking every day, oh, what's happening, then it will never sprout. It just has to be allowed to be there. Actually, even when the desire to achieve it and the desire to attain it also goes away. If we even look at Gautam Buddha's journey, we all know that he did so many practices, so much, and finally one day he decided to just let it be. Isn't it complete surrender? He said nothing is going to work, and he just sat there under the tree and it happened. That is what all the masters have been sharing. So, this song of Mahamudra, Tilopa had given it to Naropa. Naropa gave it to Marpa. What I have read, of course, I have no idea of this. I've only read on Google or other books that I have read from Osho or others about this lineage. So Tilopa could only find one student, which was Naropa, and Naropa could find only one student, which was Marpa. And then Marpa could also find only one student, that was Milarepa. And Milarepa, through Milarepa, this became comparatively, this whole tradition became more popular. I think they may still have, it's supposed to be the Kagyu school of Tibetan Buddhism. But what the teachings or whatever that I have read, what is telling is that it actually stopped with Milarepa. After Milarepa, they haven't had any as great a guru as these four were. And the story of Milarepa is also very interesting. So I will just share briefly. He was also a Tibetan Siddh, and he, as a young man, he was actually his father. He came from a royal family, very rich family, but then his father passed away, and the father's sister and brother, they took away all the wealth. So all the they because he was coming from a prosperous family, so his family was deprived of their wealth by his aunt and uncle. And to take revenge from them, he left home and studied sorcery, because of which he killed many people and got his money and the property back from uncle and aunt. But later on, he came to know about Marpa and became a Buddhist. And when he went to Marpa made him go through very big trials. And we know the story that Marpa would ask him to build a whole tower and then demolish it. And he had to make it completely through his own hands, building one whole building. So he would just build the whole thing, and the moment it would be complete, then Marpa would ask him to demolish it. It was done 7 times. And the seventh building that he built, that is still supposed to be there. It is still in Lhasa or somewhere in Tibet. It still is there. Milarepa is known. Another thing about Milarepa, which he's famous for, he's supposed to be the only person who has climbed Mount Kailash. That is what the books say. So that's a little bit that I know about Milarepa. He had also written a lot of poetry, which the book is known as the 100,000 Songs of Milarepa. So Tilopa had this one song, the song of Mahamudra, and Milarepa has written many other songs. So that's all from my side today. Anybody has a question or anybody wants to share anything? So looks like nobody has anything else to say, share, ask. So thank you very much for joining in. Stay in acceptance, stay in surrender, and allow the Mahamudra to happen. Thank you.